Just a couple of guys, a couple of microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Autos? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show. We apologize for yesterday. We were supposed to be yesterday, but I had to work late, and so we had to postpone the show till today.
You know what I mean?
And we are literally an hour away from kickoff.
Yeah.
And for Thursday Night Football. So we are going to jump right into this thing here. Do us a huge favor, though, if you guys could, whether you're new to the show or you're not, maybe get your friends or family members, whoever likes football, send them our way. Help us grow this football community of ours by heading over to YouTube. Hit that subscribe button for us if you could. And also hit that notification bell to let you guys know when we go live. And, of course, you can follow us anywhere you get your podcasts.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And already we've got a know-it-all in the house.
Oh, already? That was quick.
There you go. It's our man Nathaniel McWhird is in the house with us
Hey,
tonight.
what's going on, Nathaniel?
Hello. All right. Yeah, so Joe, again,
That's right.
another exciting week of the NFL, and a lot of teams here, we're looking at it, they are finally now who we thought they were. For most of them are, but some of them there still are some surprises here.
There's a lot of them, yeah. There's very few that we know exactly what they are.
Right.
And then there's always these, like, week-to-week basis, we see teams where, like, yeah, well, they're just not, they don't have it together yet. They just simply don't have it together. I don't know when they're going to get it together. And it's like, it leads you to believe, like, maybe they're a lost hope. Maybe that they're going to be just, they're already done, already the season. And then last couple of weeks, there's been some surprises. There's been some, signs of life from, like, the Chicago Bears. Like, honestly, thought Washington was going to at least just come away with the win. Maybe not blow them out or anything, but come away with the win. And Chicago looked like, they looked amazing. Like, Justin Fields looked like the quarterback they've been waiting to see, throwing the football, running the football, mixing it up. And then the defense played really well for missing so many players last week. So
yeah,
teams like that right now, it's like they're just up in the air. Jaguars are included.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Bears, they were dropping like flies even during that game. Yeah. But what was wild, it was the defense even.
Yeah, their secondary
was going crazy, and they were still putting pressure here on Washington. What happened altogether with Washington's defense and their offense, and then the offensive line basically, and defense even, they weren't able to get a lot of pressure on the Bears either. So, that was a big difference here for them to get in there.
I was a little surprised with Washington not being able to put pressure with that stellar D-line, not to do it more often anyways in that game. And for the Washington offensive line, we knew this was going to happen all year. They have a lot of free agent guys they picked up and hoping they can just start and last all season.
But Sam Howell, I thought, again, despite everything, he looks pretty good even too. He's able to make plays with his legs and stuff, but he can't do it all himself.
He's doing everything he can.
He can't do it all himself.
Yeah, they need an O-line.
Yep, absolutely. We got some comments in the house here. It says, another week in a row where I scored the most amount of fantasy points than everyone except for the team that I played against. And now I am 1-3 for all Nathaniel. Poor
that
Nathaniel.
Is a
he
crazy
says,
league.
Despite being second in the league in points. See, that stinks. That always, fantasy. That's fantasy
happens
for you, Joe. We know a couple of people and things like that were in leagues that, second highest scoring or most high in the league, and you end up not winning at the end. It just happens. It's all about matchups.
I feel like my biggest problem in fantasy, and it happens to me often, not every single season, but often, it's always like the team that faces me scores more than they ever have all year just against me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a decent week, but because they superseded everything, all expectations, they end up getting the win over me, and I lose. So it's like, just because your team's doing well, and here comes, week to week, this might happen. You know what I mean? Where your team does well. They score points. They score what they're projected to, or maybe even a little bit greater. And the other team just has a couple of players maybe that just tear up the fantasy league. And you're like, fucking what? Like, what just happened? So
yeah. You think you build the best team and everything, and you just never know.
Yeah.
And he goes. This time he didn't start DJ Moore either. You never know. You know what I mean? One week, doesn't.
I
do
feel
so
like a
good,
lot
another
of
week he
people
does.
feel that pain this week because there's a lot of people that haven't been starting DJ Moore because of the fact of him not being as productive in Chicago up to this point. So yeah, I mean it sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and how about even for Sunday morning? Some people even wake up and find out that the Bills actually lost that game.
Yeah,
You know
what-
what I mean? With the way the Jaguars have been playing up until the last 2 weeks now in London. What kind of like a shell of their former self, from what they were looking like last year, like they're maybe an up and coming team, kind of taking a tick back this season and looking good in London, getting it done against the Buffalo Bills here, where they're looking like a Super Bowl contender, and beating up Miami, the Miami Dolphins, who looked like an offensive power 1 week, and then the travel to London, and maybe that just made a difference here. That little bit of jet lag, coming into London, with having the Jags being able to stay there for the whole week.
No, I don't think jet lag is a factor anymore. I think teams are smart enough now where they go in 2 days before, maybe even 3 days before they're supposed to have that game, and they practice there. And I feel like it's a blueprint for everybody that has to travel to London, even for the Jaguars. The one benefit for them is they had back-to-back weeks in London, so they stayed out there. They were already acclimated, which it's not an excuse for the Bills because the Bills definitely had to have been there earlier, practice there a couple days, get acclimated to the time zone change and all that, and then play the game Sunday. But, man, maybe it was, just because it's such a difference in time zone that I'm not going to say jet lag was a factor, but maybe it's just weird and awkward for them to play in that atmosphere. Jacksonville's had more experience than any other team at this point playing in London. They know what to expect. They know, how the environment is, the crowd is, like what their routine. They have a routine now at this point in London that they go through. So they're just more comfortable, I feel like, than any other team. And when they go to London and they perform, they actually play really good football. It's almost mistake-free. They're executing their plays, and they're just way harder to beat in London.
Yeah, absolutely. And how about the Detroit Lions, Joe, last week also kind of laying that footprint that we were hoping that they would finally, and being that team that
They're taking that next step.
Yeah, showing you that this is the team that they should be. And even Dan Campbell had said it, hey, we should be doing this all the time. This is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be doing this type of stuff to these type of teams that just aren't in our league right now. And that offense, like picking up from what they started off with last year with, multiple points. I think I even saw a stat over Twitter. It's just still called Twitter even right now, but it was like they looked at the points per quarter so far this season, and like the first quarter is 43, second quarter is 45, and third quarter only in 20 something. But again, the fourth quarter, like 48 points they've scored already.
Yeah, definitely.
So far this season. So really lighting it up here, and not only just that defense, the offense doing well.
Yeah, it's not surprising for Detroit. I mean, we look at a season ago where the first, 5 weeks or so, 5 to 7 weeks in the NFL before Goff kind of got banged up, they were the number one offense in the entire league last year. So I'm not completely shocked that they're right back up there again this year. So, and it's to be expected. They're healthier now, and they're looking to take that next big step on possibly pushing for this division.
All right, we've got Mike Tackett in the house with us tonight.
What's going on, Mike? Welcome to the show, brother.
All right, he says, we live in a society where Taylor Swift dating Travis Kelce gets more attention than Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, going 5-0 on a San Francisco team that's been mostly bad in years past. I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Yeah. Our
There's
boy
a bunch
Mike.
of reasons why I don't want to live on this planet anymore either.
Our
you know what
boy
I'm saying?
Mike. We got to make the best of it, Mike. So let's
is.
start. Let's forget about all that
And
jazz.
The funny thing is, nobody's even confirmed that they really are dating. And they're making
who
a big
cares?
friggin' thing
Honestly, who
about it.
cares?
No,
Why?
we don't care.
We're done talking. We're not talking about that anymore.
But yeah, we're going 5-0, and they were saying what as from starting the game to completion every game, he's like 13-0 now, right? So he hasn't lost even since last year before he got injured. From a game that he started and completed. And yeah, I mean, with that team too, though, the way they're set up, and with the players that they have. Last year, I think if he stayed healthy and they didn't have the trifecta of quarterbacks going down, San Francisco 49ers are the Super Bowl champions, and it's not the Kansas City Chiefs, hands down.
Yeah,
we'll never know. So now we're hoping that we will possibly get that Super Bowl this year and then make it, because they're loaded and they're ready.
I just want a different Super Bowl. That's all. Just want a different Super Bowl. I like the different opponents every year. I like that. I'm not really a fan of seeing like we saw like the Patriots, how often it was almost like they lived at the Super Bowl for quite some time, for like almost a decade, where they were either close in the playoffs or right there. I like seeing the different teams take steps up, up to that mountain and reach the peak. So we'll see how it all unfolds this season. But I gotta say, I feel like there's way more competitive teams this year that could easily vie into the playoffs and have a couple upsets. Teams that we probably wrote off, even if they make the playoffs, we think, oh, well, that's an easy game for the Chiefs, or, oh, that's an easy game for the Bengals if they get their season turned around. You know what I mean? Like, so just because we assume, just like even up to now, up to week 5, we're assuming in some of our picks last week, we're like Bills, Jags. How many people honestly picked the Jags over the Bills? I'm willing to bet like hardly any, unless you were just a Jacksonville Jaguar fan saying, hey, I'm going to go against the odds.
Yeah, they're going to do this. Yeah.
But Bills got beat. This is why we play the game. So I know it's 1 week and there's a few upsets, but it happens every week where we think we know what we're doing. And this goes for everybody, even those so-called experts out there. And they say like, oh, well, this is an easy win for the Philadelphia Eagles. Did you see the game last week? That was a close game. The Eagles really had to grind that win out. But so I can't wait to see how the season continues.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. And Indianapolis, what an up and down roller coaster for them, right? With Richardson now done, the rookie
for 4 weeks.
For a while here, but even them, what they've been able to do and put a fight against some of these teams, and what they did here with the Tennessee Titans and pulling out another victory. But Gardner Minshew has showed so far that he can really step in and be a high top performer for this team and keep the ship afloat while Richardson's gone. And I think the one thing that has surprised me is the way this Indianapolis Colts team has a fight this season.
Well, that's the thing with Gardner Minshew. We called it before the season even got here. We're like, well, who are you starting, Richardson or Gardner Minshew, a vet? And we were saying, don't rush Richardson in. He needs further development. Give him a year or two, and then let's see what the kid can do. But they decided to go with the young rookie. I understand they took him really, top 5 pick and all that. But Gardner Minshew gives them the best chance to win right now, and it's just he's a flat-out better quarterback. You've seen how different this offense is with him, with the football in his hands. And now you have Jonathan Taylor coming back. Last week, he got on the field a few times. He was definitely on a pitch count like we suggested. And now this week, it seems like they're going to kind of take the training wheels off, and they're going to get him in the game a lot more often this week. So it'll be interesting to see how this offense as a whole is going to shift and change with Gardner Minshew at the helm and then having Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. I think that's going to open up some things for them.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens with them. All right, we've got a couple comments here, Joe. What do we got here for Nathaniel McWirt?
You're going to have to.
It says right there.
You got it right here?
Yep.
He goes, I'm going to send my picks early because I am not able to be on for long.
Okay.
Chiefs, he's got them all listed right now.
There you go. He's getting them down. Yep. So there they are.
Chiefs, Ravens, Dolphins, Saints, Falcons, Jags, Seahawks, Vikings, 49ers, Raiders, Lions, Rams, Eagles, Bills, and Cowboys. And he said his last comment was, I know only one person who picked the Jags over the Bills. Exactly our point.
It was Paul Matty. I think he's a Jags fan, right? Only he would probably pick him. All right, so I mean, in pretty much Giants again, same thing. For a while with that game, I thought they kept it close in a sense. Like, hey, they're actually keeping in this game, but it's been all just their defense trying to do whatever they can for them. And just the offensive line stinks still. Daniel Jones getting banged up, and now he's probably not even going to play this week,
And that could be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, no, not really. Because, well, for him at least to stay healthy, yes. Here we go. Now, what else? What do you think about Pittsburgh here also with Baltimore? Was Baltimore just too banged up in that game?
No, Baltimore had the game the whole time.
Just Lamar Jackson
had
the mistakes.
No, they had the game the whole time. The problem is in those matchups, when you're going up against a divisional opponent, you know each other so well that typically it's very close, it's very low scoring. And that's what happened in this game. And it only takes one turnover. It only takes one big sway of momentum to change the game by the end. And that's what happened for the Ravens. Ravens had to lead the whole entire game until the fourth quarter happened. TJ Watt happened. They threw an interception. Lamar Jackson threw a pick and everything. And it kind of shifted all that momentum over to the Steelers. And they were able to ride the wave all the way to the end zone and on their drive. So for them to get the lead, now all the pressure's on Baltimore, and they just weren't able to get it done in the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it was tough, and it goes to show you even some of the best quarterbacks out there, the top ones, still make the mistakes and end up losing the game at the end for you. As far as everything else, they were pretty much all the same. And San Francisco, like Mike Tackett brought up again, 5-0 now with Brock Purdy this season, and we said about the Dallas Cowboys here, this was their litmus test, I mean, and only the Cowboys fans were out there chirping, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And look what happened. And I thought it was going to be a little closer, to tell you the truth. I gave them even more credit. You know what I mean? Okay. I gave them a little more credit. I didn't think they were going to win. I didn't think it was going to be a total disaster like it was. I was excited about it. Yeah. But I thought they would do a little better. But Dak Prescott again in those moments and with that defense, just mistake after mistake, and for him to be in this league for this long, and even with this team and getting the contract that he did, the mistakes that he made were just bonehead mistakes. You know what I mean? You're getting some pressure and you got some checkdowns, and you're going for the deep bomb, and you overshoot the guy for a pick. I mean, it was easy interceptions and things like that.
Yeah,
just dumb mistakes.
I gotta also say, throw Mike McCarthy's hat in the ring, because some of his play calling was absolutely atrocious. Like you can't just. I understand you're trying to catch up in the game, and this is early on when they went down 2 scores, but you can't be like, oh well, we can't run the ball, and we're gonna have to just chuck it deep all the time and try to get right back in this thing, because it doesn't happen that way. You just can't. You don't have that luxury anymore of having Aaron Rodgers in your pocket and saying, well, he can carry this team. He can get us down the field. He can score for us. You have Dak Prescott. And I will say this, the way he's changed this offense over is like he's made it more adaptable for Dak to be able to throw more often, but it's to get the ball out of his hands quicker. But the problem in this game is he just kind of forgot about that. He forgot the game plan. He didn't even go with what was working earlier for the Cowboys on the offense. I know they've been spitting and sputtering, and some of it is attributed to like the offensive line not staying healthy that much, but a lot of it is Mike McCarthy. A lot of it is his play calling. And yeah, you're right, Jim. Like Dak Prescott's play is also not helping anything. So that combo right there just not working right now for the Dallas Cowboys. And I got to say, like, every week it seems like that offensive line's got somebody down. Someone's hurt. Someone's banged up. I don't know how much longer Dallas can last so far. Like, we're only into week 5, and we're not even at the midway point, and they're dropping like flies, along with some of their defensive players. So for Dallas, it doesn't look very bright down the road. And for them to go against the 49ers, we knew how stout they were. We knew that they were going to win. But the Niners made a statement against Dallas. All those people that thought Dallas was a top 3 NFC team this year have all been put to sleep. Like, there's no more talking. You faced the giant, and you got smacked up and down the field. It's that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, but at least for them, who knows that they definitely have enough to be a playoff team, I think, at this point. But
Yeah.
Super Bowl contentions again, I think has never really been there, so they came back to earth for this
right.
one.
Yeah.
Monday night's game was a lot closer. It was a tough game here. I've had a feeling that the Vegas might play and win because they do play better at home and they light it up. And Max Crosby's he's always the same kind of guy, man. He's a ball of fire, and he really made it tough for Green Bay.
He's a dominating player.
Again, Jordan Love, the thing is with him, for me, I feel like, he's still learning, obviously, stuff. But I think even, too, with when pressure comes, I think he feels like he's got to make the play and make something happen on his own, almost like what Carson Wentz used to do at times. And it ends up getting him in trouble and forcing the turnovers from time to time. When, I think he should just do the smarter thing and throw it away or whatnot and stuff. So again, try and force in a play. And that happened a few times in that game, I think, with some of the interceptions.
I could see some of that from Lev, but I don't think he's, as bad as Wentz was, where he's trying to literally run the ball all the time and take over a game. Love is, to me, honestly, he's just slow at processing. Like he's not as quick as you would like him to be at this point for Green Bay Packers to process and get rid of the ball quicker. Like I feel like he's not. There's some plays where he anticipates where the receiver's going to be and he makes the throw, and then there's other times where he holds on to it or just doesn't see the field right, and we saw that in this game. Like even at the end of the game. Right, where the Raiders end up getting that interception. Amik Robertson picks it off for the Raiders. But in that play, he was beat by 15 yards. Like Christian Watson was just so wide open, it wasn't even funny. So any veteran quarterback would have seen that in a split second and just slang that ball down there. It would have been a touchdown. It would have been a game winner. And we wouldn't be talking about Vegas winning right now. We'd be talking about Green Bay coming back yet again in the game at the end to win the game. So, and it could have been two different sides, right? So Jordan Love, we were like, oh, well, they lost the game. Jordan Love's had some mistakes. This, that, and the other thing. But if he makes that touchdown throw, that all kind of gets overlooked now. And I was like, despite his deficiencies in Monday night, man, saw the guy wide open, made the the touchdown winning throw, and all's good in Green Bay, So two different sides of the story, but all in all, like you have to process the field a little faster for Love, and he has to be able to just get rid of the ball quicker. It seemed like a lot of times in those plays where you see guys like Max Crosby making plays in the backfield, creating a lot of pressure, and it's almost like because for a while, he's holding on to the ball. And it's like, dude, you got to get rid of that ball. Like you have a time clock. You should have one in your head. It's got to come out. So in that game, you notice some deficiencies from Jordan Love that he still needs to work on. He still is working on, and he will get better because now that he actually has real football time on the field, like real live action every week, it's just going to make him better down the road. So what we have seen up to this point from Jordan Love, it looks promising for Green Bay, but he's just not there yet. Like we're still waiting for it to click, for him to be able to make the plays that Green Bay Packers and their staff are looking for him to make consistently. So yes, they still got a little bit, ways to go here for the Green Bay Packers to get back where they want to be. But for the Raiders, like I feel like this was a critical game for them. Like if they lost this game, and it's not because they've been they won a couple games, they lost a few, like they got to get back into the 500 track. This was more about you're on national television. Josh McDaniels, everybody hears about how bad the Raiders are. You have to make a statement to the nation that don't get a chance to watch you. Like, no, it's not me. Look at what I did. I scored these points and the team came together and all this. But you still notice that in the game, him constantly like berating his players, like yelling at his players and everything. So you wonder how solid that locker room actually is at this point. Like, yeah, they got the win and it's good, but Here's a bad stat for you. The Raiders offense hasn't scored over 17 points through 5 weeks of football. 17 points.
Mm-hmm.
Genius Josh, like they call him. Where's the offense? You should be scoring over 20 easily every week, especially with the players that you have.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I did notice though, was they're able to run the football more, I think, in that game and really keep it balanced. But again, Jimmy G making some bonehead mistakes himself too, not really, doing very well, on that end. And you saw Josh McDaniels lay into him, and that was rightfully so. I mean, because some of the turnovers, that's what was kind of funny with that game is it's almost like the two teams, you ever watch a game where it looks like neither of them wants to win, and it was kind of like that at some point, because it kept turnover here, turnover there, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then, the Raiders are just happened to be the last one with the Carlson with the ball, you know what I mean? With how both
His
the
brother.
Carlsons played each other.
Yeah.
But they ended up pulling it out into victory despite just mistakes here and there.
Yeah, and it goes without saying, though, but Jimmy G got exposed that night. Because for a nationally televised game, for you not to be as sharp as everybody claims you to be, like back in San Francisco, he got away with it. Because why? Because Kyle Shanahan was creative with the offense. He wasn't asked to throw over like 10 or 15 yards a lot of the times because he just had to dump it off to Debo, throw a short slant to Brandon Ayuk, throw it to Kittle in the middle. Like there was ways for them to get around to kind of hide that. And now with the Raiders, you don't have that stellar offensive line. You don't have some of those big name weapons around you to like, oh, well, I can just dump it here. You got Adams. What was the deal with that game where Adams was held without a catch for the first half? Like, you got to get the guy the ball. Like, it seemed like obviously his favorite is Jacoby Myers because they have a lot of chemistry from back in the New England days. But you got a stellar player in Devontae Adams, and you don't throw him the ball or hit the ball in his hands until the second half on that one scoring drive that they had. Like, what are you doing? What is Josh doing? Not orchestrating a play to get the ball in his hands.
That's mainly.
And Josh Jacobs, like you mentioned, they were able to run the ball because I feel like they were able to throw and get some passes completed and move the chains that way. So this team still has a long way to go. And I honestly, they have like the next 4 games is with opponents that they should or could beat. Everything is going to tell us about what the direction is. Like, we think they're going downwards, but if they lose any of these, well, I shouldn't say any. There's one game in particular they play Detroit, which just right now, there's no way the Lions lose that game. There's no way. But the other teams that are around, like the Patriots this week, they have the Chicago Bears coming up. It's like those teams, you got to win those games. You have to show somebody that, oh, yeah, we have signs of life.
Well, talk about teams with signs of life or not here. We're going to talk about what teams now out of some of these losing record teams that maybe we're taking their one last shot here to try and make a playoff run now or in the bottom basement of some of these divisions here and looking up. Joe, I mean, in your opinion, what's the team with the hardest road ahead for them in the rebuild? Let us know in the comments too, what you guys think of
for a rebuild.
What team you think? For a team that's rebuilding, like when they went and asked Bill Belichick, "Hey, what's going on with you guys? Is this a restart?" And he said, "Yeah, basically that's it. We're restarting now." You know what I mean? And it's weird to hear something like that come out of his mouth, and especially for them because they've been winning for so long and been such a big dynasty, and it's making a bunch of memes and everything now that the fact that they're actually going to be a losing team and at the bottom of the division, it looks like, at least for now, with the way, the Jets are still kind of being competitive here with that defense. It's just New England, too many mistakes. And not enough on the defensive end. And I knew with Matt Judon not in that game even too that they were going to have issues and not be able to get any pressure. But to get annihilated like that too, it was just embarrassing. And we've never seen anything like that from a Bill Belichick team at all. And it's multiple weeks in a row. So those are record-breaking occurrences for a Bill Belichick-led team.
Right.
So, I mean, is it the Patriots at this point? Who's got the toughest road to restart? With what they've been grabbing some free agents from here and there to try and fill in spots and gaps, but they've been doing that for so long too to try and make it work with that. They haven't really drafted real quality guys.
They haven't drafted well for several years. Like I would say the past 5. Like, they really haven't drafted that well. Bill Belichick and his staff, usually they were like the wizards of the draft. Like, they would just find players that fit their scheme to a T, whether it be in the 5th round or the 6th round or, wherever. They just seem to find talent where people were like, who the heck was that guy? I never heard of that guy from Cal State. Like, where'd he come from? And then the next thing you know, he's an all-pro offensive lineman out of nowhere. So, but that mystique and that change that New England or the talent evaluation that they used to have is no longer there. I mean, you look at their staff and that GM seat and the front office, those parts have changed so often now up to this point that after their days of winning, it seemed like everybody got recycled out of there, and there's nobody to replace that chair at the GM spot, and to be able to hold it down in the draft, make very precision decisions in free agency like they used to. We're not seeing that same New England Patriots front office anymore. So that to me right there is not helping Bill Belichick's case going forward. But really, all in all, like, that's really where it stems from. You can't rebuild a team if you don't draft well. You can't rebuild a team by just signing free agents. You have to utilize both every offseason to get better. And so far, because of New England struggling in that area, like it might take them longer to get back to their winning ways than we thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, for me, I guess it's got to be the toughest road for them, because I'm looking at personnel again, and it's a lot of older veterans that they grabbed on the cheap, and they haven't drafted well. So it's going to be a tough road here for them moving forward to get back to like what you thought they were before, that dynasty. Maybe we never see them bounce back to that dynasty that they were. I mean, obviously we're never going to see anything again like what they did with Tom Brady in those years and winning 6 championships. Mm-hmm. We're not going to see that. But
7.
with Bill Belichick like that, when is he going to walk away? Even does he want to be so much a big part of this rebuild? How many years is he going to be doing this? You know what I'm saying? Because people always talk about, is this what's going to damage their legacy, this and that. And we've already had conversations about Bill Belichick's legacy, and, media has brought up, should they change it from the Lombardi Trophy to the Belichick Trophy, all this other nonsense and things about him being, winning coach and what they did. For him to do a rebuild and have terrible teams for so long in an extensive period of time, does it diminish kind of his luster of what he's had, or his legacy in a sense? Because I think we've even seen a little bit of this since Tom Brady has left the team. Yeah, people wanted to choose a side. Well, here you go. It's obvious and clear that Tom Brady is the reason they won all the championships. Belichick is maybe not the GOAT. He is not as great of a coach as, we all thought he was. It was all Brady. So dealing with a rebuild like this, I think it's just tougher altogether for the franchise and for Bill Belichick.
I mean, really, for the Patriots, it comes down to, I don't think Belichick is a bad coach or not who we thought he was. Like, he's a brilliant defensive mind. So I think there's no issue with Bill Belichick at all. Like, I don't think that's it. The problem is that Bill Belichick has too much power. He is the GM and the HC at the same time. You cannot hold both of those positions, and usually it never works out. Like, there's been coaches that have tried to do it before, and it just doesn't work out. It's too much to do both positions. So that's where I feel like the New England Patriots are struggling big time, is they actually need a real GM to come in and do the GM job only. Mm-hmm. Free up Bill Belichick, free up his time in the front office, and allow him to be just hands-on with the team as a head coach, as a defensive, super mind, and let him handle that part. Like, stop trying to spread the power around and just give him all of the important decisions, all of, everything to go on there. And that's where you're really seeing the problem with the organization, is I feel like it's just too much for him. Mm-hmm. And now's the time for Robert Kraft to step up and be like, hey, all right, Bill, guess what? Yeah, I think we're gonna go back to the way we used to do things. We're not gonna have you be the GM. You can still keep head coach and all that, obviously, but we gotta bring in some help. We gotta bring in a GM here to help you with the day-to-day process here.
All right, and then lately around here, there's been a lot of talk, obviously, because again, Jets fans wanted that championship. So badly. Aaron Rodgers down, and they see what they see out of Zach Wilson, and they want more. So the chatter around here and the big hype is about Kirk Cousins possibly going to the Jets, and so we're let's look at the Minnesota Vikings now. Now, they're obviously going to be in a rebuild themselves, too, because, again, unless they do to try and go all in on a Kirk Cousins again and give him a whole new deal for a few more years. But I don't see them pulling out the trade here to go to the Jets, at least for that scenario, because that scenario doesn't make any sense because, one, he has a no-trade clause anyway, so if he does, he's got to agree to go to that team. And after even watching the quarterback series on Netflix this year, you see that it is so important for him with his legacy to win a Super Bowl. He is not going to try and do it with even, like, say, the Jets quick, and then all of a sudden, all right, well, Aaron Rodgers back. I'm taking a step back now, and I'm just going to sit back, and maybe I'll get one by somebody else's coattails or whatever, or loaner deal. I don't see him really doing that. I think he really is wants to be the leader. He wants to be able to get out there and do it on his own and do it with a team and get another championship and not be over to, again, a Jets where he knows that Aaron Rodgers is going to step in at one point, and that could potentially either end his career or he's got to try and find another home again. And that's why even for the Minnesota Vikings, people have kicked around the options that maybe he gets traded to Atlanta because Atlanta, again, is up and down this season. Looks like they're probably not sold on Desmond Ridder, even though he just came back and won a game for him or whatnot. But Kirk Cousins' wife has family in Atlanta, so people are trying to connect the dots there and possibly think that could be a landing spot for him. But what do you think with Minnesota, Joe, and rebuilding? I mean, what do they do with this season here? And do they try and pull the trigger on a trade with Kirk Cousins before Week 8? I'm
sticking with what I said in the beginning of the season. No, they are not trading Kirk Cousins. It's that simple. Kirk Cousins, again, why would he leave now? He knows the offense and everything. He goes to a new team. Even if he agrees to it, it's going to be just for the rest of the season, and then he'll be a free agent. No team is going to get any benefit from trading for him now because they're not going to be able to trade him later. And, it just doesn't make any football sense for him to move now. Because even if he goes, let's just say he goes to the Jets. Say he agrees, yes, I'm willing to, accept a trade to the Jets and see what happens there for the rest of the season. But now you know that you don't have any job security. You know that you're already going to be in free agency, and this is a guy that's trying to prove something. Like, he's a good quarterback. A lot of people say, they give him grief and they're like, oh, he's not that good. Big time moments, prime time games, he just loses them all. Like, he sucks. But you see the evidence on the field, even this year, like, he's slinging the rock. Like, he's making plays happen. And yeah, obviously he's got receivers like Justin Jefferson, not right now this week, going forward. And then, but you got Jordan Addison, who's kind of up and coming for the Vikings, and you see that offense, and passing wise, they're very difficult to stop. Rushing is really where they're hurting. So I don't think the Vikings are right now, but even before the Week 8, deadline, I don't think they're going to say, oh, we're mailing it in the rest of the season. We're quitting. We're giving up. We're not going to compete for the division. We're not going to try to make the playoffs. We're done. We need to completely rebuild. I don't think that's where they're at right now, especially with a second-year coaching staff. They're not willing to pack it in right now and give up on the season. They're not. It's the NFC. No, no hard feelings, NFC, but you have a greater chance of making the playoffs in the NFC if you're a halfway competitive team than in the AFC. So why give up now? So to me, it just doesn't make any sense for that to happen. And I don't think either side, I don't think Minnesota or Kirk Cousins would would be okay with it anyways. So for Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, I still think that they're gonna stick to their guns, and they're gonna see what they can do going down through the season here.
All righty. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm in agreement with you, too, on some of that, too, as well. Because, again, no matter what, with media around here, too, they want to try and paint whatever picture they can to help their team out. And I just don't see any of it happen.
And really,
just
think about it. Kirk Cousins goes to the Jets.
Yep.
He's got to learn the offense.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to come in there and be like, oh, I know what I'm doing.
I got this.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not going to be like Baker Mayfield 2.0 with the Rams.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to come in that week and be like, oh, I can sling the rock anywhere. I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know the playbook. So
I get it.
It's just I think there's too many variables going on for it to even make sense.
All right. Next up, we've got Joe's. He does this every week here now. We found it. Here it's Joe DeCapita's Decapitation of the Week, brought to you by Ding Productions out there. Make sure you guys give him a follow or a subscription on YouTube. There you go. Here it is. Here, Roshan Johnson, boom, getting the hit.
He got spun
in the
around.
Commanders game, spun around. Let's
Yeah.
watch it in reverse again. There it is. And on impact, Pachow! Bam! There it is again. Once again. Oh man!
Yeah, safety
Joe's-
Derek Foster came in and just unloaded the boomstick on him, so much so that he literally did a 360 in midair. That doesn't happen a lot.
Yep, there it is. And Joe's Decapitation of the Week. That's right. You can check out Joe's Decapitation of the Week every week here on Football on the No Show. And we're trying to bring back more of these old
Skits that we
we
had,
used to do and stuff like that, because we like to have fun with everybody and stuff. But so we're drawing near to a close to when the game's going to get started pretty soon.
Yep.
But I have one quick segment I'm going to do quick. Because my Giants are so bad, again, I decided to compile a list of who could do better, who could do a better job at offensive line for the New York Giants. So here we go. It's
Before we
top
get
4 or
into
5.
that,
What's up?
we talked about it last week about why aren't the Giants going out for free agents? Why aren't the Giants trying to bring in other help to see if they can upgrade this offensive line? And word is about 2 days ago, Lyle Collins, who's been one of those linemen out there since he's been cut from the Cincinnati Bengals, took a visit with the Jets and then took a visit with the Giants as of yesterday. Still haven't heard anything like if they're going to plan on signing him, going to happen or not, but definitely could be well worth if either team was to add him.
For now, yeah. I mean, they're trying out anybody that can help out at this point because, it was just atrocious last week. But even for me, again, watching the game, offensive coordinator, man, come on. Even in that Miami game, there was an opportunity and there was a time where they were still kind of in it or whatever, or they needed 2 scores. They needed 2 scores at the end of the game, and they had like over 5 minutes, and you're still running the ball quick. Why? Why are you just running the ball? I mean, that's just killing time that you don't have to try and get back into this game, and it makes no sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You got to be going past that because you need the 2 scores to win. So at that point, you're telling me that you're laying down again and you're not playing to win. You're just playing to get this game over with and moving on. And to quit this early and stuff like that, I mean, it's terrible. I mean, and that's what you shouldn't be showing your team. And I think at this point too, Dable's just got to take control over the whole thing and just get rid of Kafka, because too many times in these games, he's just showing that he's laying down and he's quitting. And so I can't take it anymore. So, but anyways, here we go. So here's I don't know if it's top 5, but here we go. Here's my list of who could do a better job at offensive line for the New York Giants here. And first off, I have singer-songwriter Lizzo. Lizzo, she's pretty big woman, and she also, I think, can block pretty well for the New York Giants, and she might even pull out her crazy flute out of one of her fat rolls to help beat down one of these defensive linemen here. So I like Lizzo.
I don't think
Or
she has
number
the
5.
agility for it, bro.
She might not. She might have the footwork, though, Joe. She's ever see her dance before?
Yeah. No,
Anyways.
no,
Anyways.
not at all.
All right, next up. She might be dead, but Betty White. Betty White in the commercial, especially at the Super Bowl, takes a big hit from somebody, but still, at least it kind of took down and blocked somebody. You know, she would do better, even though she's dead at this point, than what we have out now.
She's too light for my
All
taste.
right, next up, The scrawny kid here, this guy from Little Giants. That's right. Remember him from Little Giants? He looks even a lot tougher than some of the guys that we have in there right now, and he is a Giant. So there you go. I think it'd just be
Makes
a better
sense.
fit. He would do a lot better at this point.
That
for
one there
us.
I agree with right there.
There you go.
Look at that face. Look
I
at
know.
that intensity.
Look at intensity. Exactly, Joe. That's what we're talking about.
Showing no fear.
Intensity. All right, next up here, my last two, I have a rotating door, Joe. A rotating door would do a better job. I mean, look what it's doing here in the movie Elf here. It is stopping.
It's got him
Will
spinning
Ferrell
in
right
circles.
there. He just cannot get out of it.
Yep, he just
I think that
locked
would
up.
be a lot better than what the Giants have right now. And then finally for me, a wet paper bag is still better than what the Giants have been doing here. They, at least that could be a little tougher to run through than Evan Neal at this point and whoever else, and Bill Bredesen that we have out there. So there you go. There's my top 5 things that the Giants could have a lot better than what they have now. Who knows? Maybe they'll have La'el Collins, though, Joe, at one point. I know they signed Justin Pugh and Oldie and stuff, too. And
yeah,
stuff,
they
so.
sent him to the practice squad,
Yeah,
not even to the
not even
roster.
the
Like,
roster.
he's
It's
not
like
ready
they're
yet.
just trying.
I mean,
it's just
honestly,
sad.
like
It was sad too. It's like, and you've probably seen this before. Players that were on your team that didn't do so hot, but then they go to another team and they excel.
they're
or
okay.
doing well.
Yeah, they're
I mean, I'm
they're
watching,
average.
Feliciano here with the San Francisco 49ers, and then, there you go. Look at the 49ers, and they're playing well.
Well, John Feliciano, where he really made his career was when he left the Raiders to go to the Bills. He just became an All-Pro with the Buffalo Bills. So it's like the talent was always there. Just either a team, the teams gave up on him or whatever, or his age, because there's always that factor too, right? Where teams kind of be like, he can still play, but we don't want to pay him anymore. We'll just let him walk. So yeah, John Feliciano, and there's plenty of others that have done the same thing.
All right, absolutely. Here we go. There's a picks time. The picks competition's tight right now. I've only got Joe by 4, but it's a long season, and we still don't know what the hell is going on with some of these teams. All right, so tonight's game, in just a few minutes here, is going to be the Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs here in Kansas City. It's going to be tough to go in there and pull out a victory. I was joking with Joe earlier about Denver and like the way the season's been going. I'm like, watch all of a sudden, for some reason, Sean Payton can figure out the Kansas City Chiefs in this one and pull out a victory out of surprise out of his hat with like literally nobody here for the Denver Broncos. But I unlikely think that'll happen. So I'm going to roll with the Kansas City Chiefs on this one.
Yeah, I mean, and everybody is going to pick the Kansas City Chiefs right now, and why wouldn't you? The Denver Broncos have been struggling as of late. Sean Payton can't get the offense going. Russell Wilson is still Russell Wilson, and, there's a little bit of turmoil there between those two. Defensively, they're just on the field way too much. So I think that's going to be pretty much the same deal in tonight's game. Kansas City is going to do what they have to do, just take what's there, move the ball down the field, score touchdowns, and then they're just simply going to keep pouring it on over and over and over, and Kansas City's going to come away with that.
Yeah.
one.
How about Sean Payton laying into Russell Wilson, though, too? But again, some of the dumb interceptions, but then even not securing the football here
Yeah.
where he's taking off running. And
Or
not
making a
fielding.
poor decision, in terms of not seeing a receiver that was open.
Yeah.
It all goes hand in hand, right? So this is where you're seeing that disconnect between Sean Payton and what he wants him to do
Yep.
and what Russell Wilson does.
And it also maybe brings up the point of what Tom Leiter used to say even about Russell Wilson, what Pete Carroll would have to do, and they wanted to coach Russell Wilson a certain way, and he didn't like that. He wanted to be more of a focal point and blah 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 and stuff like that. And maybe that's the same kind of thing. They're trying to reel him in, and now he's trying to be a focal point, making mistakes, and that's why these coaches get trying to reel
I
him
just
back in.
think it's that what's real simple is Sean Payton. It's not his guy. It's not the guy he would choose to run his offense, and that's really what it is. He's trying to work with them, but they're just butting heads.
All right, next we've got another London game, and it's not the Jaguars, but it is the Baltimore Ravens and the Tennessee Titans here, Joe. Titans, they're a weird team for me to feel out of
Very
this one. They're
weird.
tough. Same thing with Baltimore.
Very weird.
Baltimore has been injury ridden though for a bunch of having a lot of players out here and there. So this could be a tough game. It's always tougher when you go into Tennessee though as well. Tennessee plays really tough at home. But
They play tough, but I'll tell you right now, Tennessee last week, I don't know what happened to the run defense. They didn't have any. They were able to run all over Tennessee. So I don't know what to make of Tennessee anymore. I thought this was a very physical bunch, which they are, but they've been up and down too. They're one of those teams where week to week you don't know exactly what you're getting. DeAndre Hopkins balled out last week, but they still, you know what I mean? They still, didn't get it done. So Baltimore, like they last week they played a divisional opponent. We kind of expected it to be a close game all the way to the end, and they just came up short. This week, I feel like they're going to get back on track. Yes, they are going into Tennessee. It's a tough place to play and all that, but I'm really not. I'm more sure of what I know about the Ravens than I do about the Titans, so I'm going Baltimore.
All right, I'm going to go Baltimore as well. The Washington Commanders and Atlanta Falcons. This is a tough game to pick, too, because, again, both teams, it looks like Washington, I was starting to get on the train and what they were doing. I was actually surprised here. But then the Atlanta Falcons, again, able to get back into that game last week, but I really feel that the team just let their foot off the gas on that one. So Atlanta does play better at home. And just Washington is tough. This is a tough game, Joe.
It is a tough game.
I want to go with Atlanta here at home. Man, I think
it's a tough game. I mean, listen,
I might go with
Washington,
Atlanta.
to me, I saw them as a competitive team, kind of like the Lions from 2 years ago. Where, like, they're not quite there yet. They still need to add a few pieces. But, man, they sure play their tails off. They sure, are in every single game. And I expected Washington to be a little bit better this year. And to have the defensive line that they do and the offense, and yes, they don't have a very good offensive line, and that maybe it is part of the struggling for the offense. But coming into Atlanta, like, the only thing that's holding back the Falcons, I feel like, is Ritter. But don't get me wrong, he did well last week. He led that driving score for the win. But I need to see more consistency from him for sure. But I like the team way better than I do Washington.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Atlanta just because they're home, and that's going to kind of be the decision for me.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards that way too. Just because I got a feeling, and they do play better at home, so I'm going to go with that one too as well. Minnesota Vikings and Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears finally showed up.
Chicago who?
Once here, but again, they always play better here at home too as well. But even though you don't have a Justin Jefferson here, which is a big focal point for Minnesota, I think I'm still going to roll with the Vikings here on this one. And
this is a tough one for me because here's where. Kirk Cousins, obviously, like, Justin Jefferson is his favorite target, and why shouldn't it be? But he's also bailed Kirk out quite often. And for them to still struggle running the football and defensively, they're like so. I don't like this. I don't like this
Kirk
game.
Cousins out. I think he's bailed the offense out.
I don't like this matchup at all with Chicago. Like, the only thing that I'm going to look at is Chicago is way healthier. They're almost 100% healthy again. And they're going to get their secondary back. So I'm going Chicago at home beating the Vikings.
All right. We've got the Seattle Seahawks and the Cincinnati Bengals. Seattle
What a
coming
tough
off
that's another tough one.
Yeah, well, they're coming off a bye week, too, so they're all well rested. Hopefully Gino's all good on that one. But Cincinnati, they're a team that has just been lackluster here again. Now 2-3 at this point. But hopefully they're trying to turn this train around here.
Right.
Seattle's going to play them tough. But I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals here at home because they do play better here in the jungle as well. And I'm still hoping that they have kind of turned over that leaf, and now they're going to start winning.
Both teams are healthy, and with Seattle, like, they're a very different team now that they have Jamal Adams back and their draft pick Witherspoon. Like, they played amazing before the bye week. I have to expect nothing but good things for Seattle going forward. I love their offense. I like their defense. And, yes, they're traveling to Cincinnati, but I'm not completely confident in the Bengals. Like, we've seen Joe Burrow have to run for his life last week. So I'm going with Seattle in this one, visiting Cincinnati.
All right, we got San Francisco 49ers and the Cleveland Browns. This is going to be tougher here.
Is this even a conversation right now?
I know. Yeah.
No Watson, by the way.
Yeah.
There's no Deshaun Watson
yeah.
for the second week, so man,
Yep.
that's going to be tough for whoever they put
in
that position.
Well, it's going to be DTR again, but
Good God,
again,
why?
That's their guy. I think they maybe
I
have
talked
going
to
forward.
I talked to a Browns fan last week, and they're like, "Oh, we got DTR this week," and I'm like, "Good luck with that." Like, why does everybody think this kid is going to be so amazing? Because he had
physical tangibles.
he had
that
success
does, but
in
the
preseason,
yeah.
where it's really not it's not the same as for the regular season, where defensive coordinators are planning for you and trying to confuse you. And when he gets in trouble, he just looks to run. Like, to me, he's just going to be one of these career backup type dudes. I don't see him getting any better.
Maybe more like the other DR and Robinson as well from Michigan. So I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers on this one too, as well. I mean, it's not really hard in this one. I just think the defense is going to try and play these guys tough. But San Francisco is just loaded.
Cleveland's defense will keep them in the game in like the first quarter, like until they start to get tired of being out there all the time, because I really don't expect Cleveland's offense to have much success at all. So the Niners, listen, they're the toughest team to play right now. They're the most physically dominating team, creative on offense, very tough to overcome on defense. They're just, it's not even a discussion. They're easily going to win this game.
All right,
I will be shocked if it goes the other way.
All right, Thursday Night Football is now kicked off, but make sure you guys stick with us too, because their broadcast team sucks. All right, and the Miami Dolphins and the Carolina Panthers. Miami is going to win this one here. I feel bad, Carolina. There they are again. But, Bryce Young banged up too. He's just taking a beating just as much as Daniel Jones and the Giants are. Poor Carolina. I'm going to go with Miami and have mercy on their souls there.
Unlike his draft counterpart in C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young's been making a lot, and I mean a lot, of mistakes. Turning the ball over, fumbling the ball, what have you. This offense still hasn't gotten, all on the same page. So even though they kind of do, they try their best to try to stay in games, they try their best to try to come back, it's not going to be enough. Miami all the way.
And what's funny is I even noticed that in their game, because they switched that game for some reason in our broadcast, right? And they were down by a lot. They were losing by 30 points. And they even tried to score at the end of the game where the Giants didn't. And the Giants were within 2 scores.
Yep.
And again, that's where I kind of noticed it again. It really pissed me off. All right, here we go. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are currently in first place in their division, and the Detroit Lions right there, who are in first place in their division. This is going to be a good matchup here. I wish this was like a primetime game. I like this one because I just like the two different types of teams. They're fire in Baker Mayfield, but the fire in Dan Campbell here too. And for me, again, Detroit has got to be able to beat teams like this. Tampa Bay's got a lot of weapons here, and I think this can be tougher because they're at home. But I like Detroit in this one. But I'm excited to see how this game plays out.
It's a great NFC matchup. It's a fun matchup. Both teams, they're pretty solid on offense and defense, but with a couple of weaknesses on either side. But obviously, like Baker Mayfield, it's going to be up to him. Just don't make mistakes. You cannot afford to make mistakes against this team. And the Lions, it's going to be, if he does in fact make mistakes, can you capitalize on him? So Detroit, I think it's a good matchup, but I'm going Detroit all the way.
All right, here we go. Indianapolis Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars, Joe. Take this one away. What do you think of this one? Jacksonville on a winning streak. Colts also on a winning streak here.
Yeah,
so.
and you look at that Colts offense, it just works so much better with Gardner Minshew in at the helm. He gets rid of the ball quickly, decisively, and that's really kind of what's helping this offense against the Jaguars this week. Jonathan Taylor definitely taking the training wheels off, and they're going to get him in the game a lot more often. But again, I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be enough. The Jaguars, they've been kind of this up and down team. They played extremely well in London, and it's like, what is Jacksonville going to be known for this season? We saw them as being this team that's going to take over the division, not even going to be close. Like, they're going to just take it. And the last, 5 weeks, it's kind of, they're not as decisive of a team as I thought they were going to be. So they are home. That's kind of like one benefit for them. And the Colts being an indoor team going into the outdoor elements in Jacksonville, it might affect them a little bit. And this is a team, I feel like this is going to be a close game all the way to the end. It could end up going either way, but with the Jaguars, you got to win these games. So this is a game at home. I go in Jacksonville.
Yeah, this was a tough one here. I would like to say Jacksonville maybe to put all of that forward to beat the Bills, and now they're going to kind of they exerted themselves
Yes.
and they're going to fall back
Right.
on their face in this one, and Indianapolis is going to creep in and win here again. But Indianapolis, I'm just so unsure about again, too. I like the Minshew madness. Hopefully they can get it done here, too. But I don't know. I'm going to roll with Jacksonville on this one to be safe here at home. The New Orleans Saints here, after kicking the shit out of the New England Patriots, go to face the Houston Texans, where I don't think it's going to be as easy.
That's gonna be a
I
good
think
game.
This is going to be a nice, a good game here, tight. In defense, I think is going to be a story of this one too as well. That being said, though, I think Houston puts up a fight, but I'm going to roll with Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints on this one.
Yeah, I feel like the Saints in the end are going to win this game. It might not be by a very big margin at all, but in the end, I think the Saints defense is going to make some plays happen and get some turnovers here to be the deciding factor in this game. I love where Houston is headed with C.J. Stroud. I love how this offense works, and the defense is going to only continually to get better, especially going into the next offseason for them.
Right.
The coaching staff's doing a great job there. DeMeco Ryans and company.
I think this game is going to be a litmus test, I think, for the Houston Texans. You kind of see gauge, and with a team like a New Orleans, I want to see how far or how well they do against a team like this to see where they are in getting this franchise going. New England Patriots and the Las Vegas Raiders here, Joe. Holy moly. We remember what was it? Remember when
Debacle.
The
debacle. Where Jacoby Myers, of all
Yes,
people,
that's right.
tossed the ball back to supposedly was supposed to go to Mac Jones,
who got
and
lit
Chandler Jones
off.
was literally just standing in front of him. Said, "Thank you,
Oh.
I'll pick that off, and I will stiff arm Jones into the ground and run in for a touchdown
Mushed.
to end the game."
Yeah.
But the funny thing is now Jacoby Myers is a Raider. So was that
And
like
Chandler
kind
Jones
of,
is sitting out or
was
not
that
playing
his
for him right now?
was that Myers' application before free agency hit, where he's like, "Hey, listen, I want to come play for you guys. Here's a gift. I'm just gonna throw it." You know what I mean?
Yeah, it
gotta
could be
wonder.
it. Yeah, it could be it. Maybe that's it. And Josh McDaniels was like, "Thank you. All right, here we go. Let's do this."
You're my boy, Blue.
Yeah, yes, let's do
Got
it.
you.
Like Vegas at home, baby. They play tough here at
They
home.
do.
And New England, their identity is all over the map, man. I'm not sure what to get with these guys. And I feel like Mac Jones, almost like he doesn't have the locker room. All right? It's
You think
almost
so?
they just don't like him, maybe. Because we've heard different rumors about how kind of a dirty player he is and this and that. And you see
Some
him
things
get
he said.
frustrated
Yeah.
on the sidelines. He's yelling
Yeah.
and yelling at other players and then even at himself for making bonehead mistakes. And I feel like he feels he needs to make plays on his own. And when he makes the mistakes or somebody else does it, he gets frustrated. And I don't think he's liked in the locker room, so they don't take it as a motivation like they would have before with a Tom Brady. Tom Brady yelled at you, plus he had the rings behind
Well, he
him
had the rings.
to show you that, all right, I'm gonna listen to him then. And he motivated
He's
you.
had success.
I don't think they like him enough or that they're behind him enough and believe him in enough that they're gonna stand behind him. I think there's a lot of guys have maybe quit on him, and so much so that even some of the media, when they're asking Belichick who are you starting in, they think they're going to put Bailey Zapp in because
He's
you know
not.
because they figure, hey, you guys are rebuilding right now. Why don't you see what this guy's got? Because you got to do this. But
No.
he still feels that Mac Jones is going to be his best opportunity to win the game. Which again, I like Mac Jones. I still think he's a right fit for this team. I just don't think he has enough personnel around him to get the job done right now at this point.
See, I think a little bit differently. I feel like the personnel is there for them. Like, it's not like stellar personnel. Like, Juju is a possession receiver. DeAndre Parker is a guy that, as long as he can stay healthy, he could be a difference maker for them. But I feel like teams now are just, they're taking him out. They're taking Parker out of the offense defensively, and then it's like, who do you throw to now? Well, now you have Hunter Henry, who I don't even know if he caught a ball last week, and Juju is just a glamored possession receiver who doesn't really get open that often, and you have Kendrick Bourne behind him, and he's a non-factor up to this point. So I just feel like I don't know if it's really play calling wise, because Bill O'Brien's been there before and has called really good plays. So I don't think that's it. I don't think Mac Jones has lost favor with some of his offensive players or whatnot. It's just one of these weird things where I feel like New England is not, they don't have an identity with this offense anymore. Like, it used to be like, You know when you play the Patriots, they're going to run the ball down your throat, and then they're going to capitalize off the positive runs and do play action and dump it off to the tight end and mix it up that way. I'm not seeing the same type of New England offense as we used to in years past. So I feel like maybe that might be part of the reason for New England to kind of fail. But yeah, you're also right too about Mac Jones is also struggling as a quarterback. And that right there, I guess, is like the bigger deal for the Patriots going forward is, can Mac Jones kind of snap out of it? Like snap out of whatever funk he's in, whatever. I don't know what it is about New England right now, but they just seem to not be clicking, and there's no real big adjustments being made either. So this might be the game where they get it all back on track, because I'm telling you right now, we saw Max Crosby go run rampant on Green Bay. They didn't have an answer to block him. They didn't have anything to do, but there's one guy in this league, Bill Belichick, who schemes, and he will literally take one player from your team out of the picture. Bill Belichick and his staff are going to do whatever they have to eliminate the threat of Max Crosby on defense. And then offensively, they're going to do what they can, just like last week with the Packers. They double teamed Devontae Adams a lot, tried to take him out of the picture. You see this week to week with New England. They're going to do the same thing to the Raiders. And when they do that, if they're able to slow down even Max Crosby, it's over for the Raiders, because they have no impact players. Behind him, there's nobody on the D-line. There's nobody in that linebacking core. The only other dude that is a dog on that team is Marcus Epps, who recently got signed. Outside of that, there's no threat. So in this game, I think New England, even though the Vegas Raiders are favorited right now this week, even being home, it's going to be just like every week for Vegas. It's going to be a 50-50 crowd. There's going to be 50% Patriots there, 50% Raiders, and you're going to hear it. And I'm going with New England going into Vegas and getting the win.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with New England as well, just because, too, the fact that it is Josh McDaniels.
And who knows Josh McDaniels better than anybody else?
And I don't
Bill
think
Belichick.
Bill Belichick is going to lose to him.
I just have to make one more point.
He's gotten fooled before by Vrabel, but
I have to make one more point for this, just because we're talking about McDaniels and Belichick, right? Versus two. Obviously, Belichick is going to trump him in coaching. But the reason why the Patriots offense was so great in those dynasty years wasn't because of Josh. Everybody points the finger. Oh, look at the plays he called. It was Brady the whole freaking time. Not Belichick. It was Brady. Because what did Brady do a lot? And Patriot fans, you can attest to this. Audible. He would audible out of the calls made by McDaniels because he saw something different. He's like, well, this play ain't going to work. We're audible into this. And it was super successful. And Brady did that quite often, making Josh look better than what he actually is as a coordinator. So realistically, he's not so genius after all.
There you go. Next, we got the Arizona Cardinals and the Los Angeles Rams. Rams have been playing surprisingly well, I think, for them. Arizona, they stay in games too, so I think this is going to be a closer game too than expected here, divisional game. But I will side with the Rams on this one.
Yeah, I'm going Rams all the way. I mean, their defense, their young defense is playing well past expectations. And not to mention, you look at last week with Cooper Kupp returning, it's like he never left. Like Stafford feeding him the ball, getting Puka Nacua involved as well. And now with all that success on offense, they're now looking at trading away Van Jefferson. He's expendable now at this point. So look for that leading up to week 8 for them to try to find a partner in moving on from Van Jefferson. Arizona, listen, I think they're Arizona's really realistically like the Detroit Lions. Kyler Murray's not there.
Yeah.
But the emergence of Josh Dobbs at quarterback, I mean, they're making things happen. They're very competitive. Their defense is playing better. Their offense, despite the struggles on their offensive line, is so much better. They're going to be in this game. And I think it's going to take up until like we get closer to like the end of the game where maybe the Rams have the last drive or something like that. It could be that close. But I am too going to go with the LA Rams.
All right, here we got the Philadelphia Eagles, who almost lost to the Rams last week, but again,
it was a competitive game.
Going crazy here. I think I'm excited to watch this game, especially that it's the only game at 4:30, which is going to be cool because then I want to focus on this one because I think the Jets defense against this Philadelphia offense is going to be awesome. I think it's going to be a tighter game and they're going to shut down this offense a little bit here. But on the turn side of it, though, that Philadelphia defense, which has been doing it all season here, gets to toy around with Zach Wilson in this one. So that's going to be the downfall of the Jets, even though they're at home. I like the Philadelphia Eagles to stay undefeated. Yeah. Although I would love it if the Jets win this game.
Yeah, but the Eagles are going to be too much for the Jets. They're going to be too much for them. I mean, their offensive line is literally the best offensive line in football right now. We saw them get tested against the Rams and Aaron Donald, and they did a phenomenal job with blocking. So the Eagles are definitely going to continue that trend going into the Jets. And the Jets, I mean, their D-line is ridiculous. Like, they have a ton of talent on that defensive front. So it's going to be interesting to see how long or if they can stay in this game. But the Eagles, I feel like it's going to be one of those wins for them where they're going to come out on top.
How about the Jets last week with Nathaniel Hackett getting his revenge here against the Denver Broncos here? How about that one, Joe? That was a good game, too, right down to the end. And I'm so glad for the Jets and Nathaniel Hackett, too.
I mean, the funny thing about all that is post-game, Sean was asked after the game, hey, so are you going to apologize to Nathaniel Hackett and all these other questions? And he's just like, we've already been there. We've already done that. Like, what are you talking about? We're talking about football. So, like, get over it. In other words, so I thought it was kind of funny.
All right, we've got one of the know-it-alls in the house again. It's Mike Tackett's in the house.
What's going on, Mike?
If you guys, he's got a hypothetical here. If you guys were playing in the league, who would you want to play for? For me, it's Mike McDaniel. Dan Campbell is a close second. Also, coaches.
Yeah, who do you want to play for? Who do you want to play for? My thing is this: it depends on what kind of player you are.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a defensive player, then obviously like Mike McDaniel might not be the guy you want to go with. You might want to go with Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
That guy's blue collar, like tough as nails. Like that could be the guy defensively for me. But I mean, offensively, like if you're looking for, to me, it would either be Kyle Shanahan or it would be Mike McDaniel because they're two of the more. Also, you think about Andy Reid, you think about those type of guys, right? Like guys that have had all the success in the world and they're just super amazing with their play calling.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough for me, too, because there's a bunch I would like to play for probably, but probably even best fit would probably be like an Andy Reid or somebody like that, or even the Brian Dable or something like that. A guy that's just kind of like almost father figure type of deal there where I could almost, get a chuckle with or whatever, but respect and then, and be that offensive side of the ball, too, as well.
My thing, too, is like now I'm thinking past this right now. This question I'm thinking a little farther long term. What if, let's just say like Andy Reid, obviously like maybe he decides to retire in 2 years. Are you still going to Andy Reid knowing that it's a possibility he's going to be gone?
That it might be Matt Nagy?
Yes. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's
it's
true.
not, I'm thinking if it's long term, that's Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan, territory then because they're going to be around.
Yeah.
But
that is a tough one. It's a cool question, though. I like it. I like the scenario. All right, next week you got the New York Giants and the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo at home. Before the season started, I was excited about possibly making the road trip to go see this game in Buffalo.
Would have been awesome if they, had their shit together.
If they were competitive and like moving forward from what I thought they would be last year.
Right.
But they're not, and they're really beat up. You don't have Daniel Jones. You don't have Saquon Barkley. You don't have Andrew Thomas. You don't have an offensive line. You don't have coaching. So... I'm just going Buffalo.
He goes, I'm done.
It's just whatever it is. I'm picking against them all season. That's what I'm doing, just like last year, and it's working out for me.
Right.
Win after win after win.
And that's really the real big indicator for the Giants and how competitive they can be in this game is your offensive line. Like, are you getting John Michael Schmitz back? He hasn't practiced due to his shoulder. Andrew Thomas is still out up to this point, and Barkley is limited. Practice is limited, so he might actually come back and play this upcoming week for them. But man, without an O-line, that's super tough. And against the Bills' defensive front, like Ed Oliver and company, good God, like whoever is going to be in that backfield, beware.
I mean,
It's going to be rough.
even with Buffalo, you've got the injuries with Matt Milano and stuff. But again, against the Giants, I think it's going to be easier for them.
Mike Tackett goes, that's the art of 1-year
Yeah,
contracts.
that's the thing. Well, that's what you mean. So if I'm doing a 1 year, so if
I'm
you're
doing
saying
a 1 year,
get 1 year contract down, that's what the be the question. Then that's a loaded question.
Listen, all I have to say is
1 year.
if it's always a 1-year deal, you could go be coached by all of them that you want to be coached by, possibly, you know?
Yeah. It's funny that we never brought up even Belichick on that one, though.
No, because Belichick isn't going to be around.
Well, I'm just saying, even like Bill Belichick, with again the Super Bowl winning championship,
Defensive-minded guy.
Defensive-minded guy,
Yeah.
but even do it the Patriot way and stuff like that, and we didn't say Belichick at all.
Well, he's not in my top 3.
I'm just wondering, like, I'm
You
I
don't
like
get
him
water
when
breaks,
he
man.
was even in the Giants, so yeah, I think, and I don't mind even working hard too. I mean, I work hard and do whatever I got to do. But I don't know. Maybe I would get along with him though too. But I still look at because you know me, I'm kind of laid back too. So I'm looking to even do a fist pound with an old.
I don't
guy
think
and
he's that
everything, and
laid
I joke
back.
around. I don't think he would
In
joke around with
practice?
me like that.
I don't
in
think he's
practice.
like that.
That's what I'm saying. So we're not the same type of. We're like oil and vinegar on that one.
Yeah.
So Mike Tackett, it says, why is the Giants' best players always hurt?
Trainers suck.
Yeah, you're not eating the right stuff. You know what I mean? What the hell?
Honestly-
obviously the stadium, the turf is terrible.
I mean, that whole argument is so far fetched. It's ridiculous. Like honestly, I'd go training staff. Usually, when a team has a lot more injuries than another team, it's usually because of the medical staff that you have on premise, and your trainers, like your physical trainers and what have you, like your diet and everything. Like, I mean, the players have some responsibility. Obviously, like they have to stick with everything, but. Again, like how else could you not blame it on the medical staff and training staff? Because you see other teams that stay fairly healthy or they get healthy quicker. You know what I mean? Like the recovery time is shorter. So I got to say that.
Yeah,
right there.
all together, even with the organization, maybe putting steps in place to get players to do it because. Not everybody's motivated like they are. Like they talked about.
Oh, no,
Max
you see
Crosby.
bonuses all the time.
Look at Max Crosby. He said, I'm working all year round on my body. I want to make sure I'm healthy. That's
I
why
think
I'm able to
every
play
player
every
usually
single,
is.
Yeah, I know, but he hasn't missed a game. Like he's played every single snap of every single game that he's been in. That he's been.
Raiders
part
got
of.
a great training.
Yeah. Well, not everybody's that motivated. So if they put even more steps in place to help get them either, because
But they already do
some of these
that.
linemen don't get like that. You know,
They
I
already
think
do
a lot of
that.
them don't think
Like,
that way.
You look at the contracts; they already do that. They do workout bonuses. They do, certain incentives to stay in shape and what have you. So they already do that contractually. Like that's not something that, like, oh well, I don't feel motivated. I'm getting paid millions of dollars. I don't think you're seeing too much of that because everybody doesn't want to be schooled on
not
Sunday.
everybody's motivated by that, just bonuses or whatever and things like that either. Sometimes they are, but you'd be surprised at how lazy some people are too.
Yeah,
know what I mean?
those guys find themselves out of the NFL quickly.
Well, this is why we're probably not going to see a lot of these offensive linemen in the NFL
Who?
very long. You know what I mean? I
Who are
mean,
we
Bill
talking about?
like Bredesen, I don't even know how he's even still there. Like, what the hell, man? How's he even still on the roster? I thought he was going to be a cut early this year.
Right.
Early on.
He's
He
a
still
free
made
agent.
the team.
Yeah, free agent signing. The Ravens let him walk willingly because obviously they knew what
They
he
knew
was.
what-
The Giants, I don't know what propelled them to go and sign that guy
Mm-hmm.
and say, oh, well, he's going to be the answer. He could literally be our starter.
Mhm. Well, that's
Like-
what's sad is that now we see some of the even starters are injured.
Mhm.
This is how bad the backups are. When you see how some of these good teams that they're really based off their depth, they have
Mhm.
really depth. So if you lose a guy, you're not really losing a whole lot because your backup is still
Mm.
decent. It is.
Mm.
If you know what I'm saying, our offensive
There's
line
a
was
big
bad
drop-off.
before, but now it's a wicked drop off.
I mean, there's a big drop off with any backup in any position.
I know.
Like, there's
for
nobody
some
really
parts,
close.
but, I'm just saying.
The last time we got Mike, he said the last time Belichick had a smile at practice was when he was the DC in New York and left tackle wrecked the offense every
LT.
day during the week.
Mhm.
Hashtag cocaine is hell of a drug.
Nice.
Winners don't use drugs.
Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor, yeah. Well, that's when he did smile, but he smiles when he's not on the field, when he's at home. just
He
chilling.
likes
He's a
it
really
when
funny
a
guy.
plan comes together. That's
Absolutely.
when you're going to see him smile.
All right, so finally we got Monday night's game, the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Chargers. I hope to God the Chargers win this one. again, I haven't been a believer of the Cowboys in this one, but Chargers, they've let me down before, especially even with their coach Brandon Staley. After a bye week, I'm hoping they've learned something a little bit from their mistakes. Probably not, but I'm going to go with the Chargers here and hoping and praying that they do pull it out.
Yeah, I'm going LA in this one. I just feel like, Dallas has been banged up to this point, and not to say like, oh, well, they got dominated by the Niners, so they're going to get dominated by the Chargers. But like, after a tough physical battle against a superior team like the Niners, and now you have to go, and it's not like it's an easy win for the Dallas Cowboys, even if they were to pull it out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think they're beaten, they're battered, and they got a Monday night game against the Chargers. The Chargers are going to come to play. The only thing that can hurt the Chargers going forward is their head coach, going for it on fourth down all the time. So I like the Chargers' chances. And they're definitely a healthier team, which is kind of funny to say right now. I'm going to go with the Chargers being at home, or we say home very loosely for the Chargers. It's most likely going to be Dallas's home Monday night. But
most likely
the Chargers
with
here.
the America's team and all that nonsense. All right. So that's our show for tonight. Sorry we had to do it on a Thursday and kind of roll through this one while the game's starting, but
it's good.
We really appreciate you guys joining with us tonight. We're also going to be doing something live here on Sundays for a Football Universe. So if you guys haven't joined that group here, our friend Paul Matty is a guy who runs that group. It's a good group on Facebook, a lot of football stuff and football talk and a lot of fun. A lot of you guys are already members already, but we're going to be broadcasting through that channel, but then also our other channels too as well. So we'll see you guys on Sunday before the games get started. So it's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yes, sir.
There's
Yes,
Paul
sir.
Matty right there. Greetings
There
from
he goes.
Playa Linda
Greetings.
Beach. There he is. Look at that.
Greetings.
Boom.
What's
In
going
the
on,
house.
Paul?
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome to the show. At the end of the show, don't you know? Because we started early, Paul.
Yeah, and
we started
he
early.
caught us at the end because, obviously that Chiefs and Broncos game sucks. So boom,
Hell yeah, Sundays.
It's 3-0 right now, Chiefs. But didn't we say even too? It's second quarter, beginning of second quarter. It was going to be a little closer because it's a divisional game.
Yeah, until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny though, and
Right.
I would laugh if Denver somehow pulls out this victory
Yeah, I don't
though.
think
But
so.
we've seen things happen like this with these rivalry games. But
Yeah, Paul, welcome to the
Kansas
show,
City, I
by the
like it,
way.
though.
Listen, and if you're just tuning
Welcome.
in,
No,
or
goodbye.
if you're that's right, and if you're just tuning in, or if you know someone that
He's been
loves
working
football
late.
talk, we hear you, Paul. We hear you. Do us a huge favor. Hit over to YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell. Let you guys know when we go live. You can also follow us, of course, anywhere you get your podcasts as well.
All right, that's it for us tonight. Thank you
Peace.
so much.
We out.
We'll see you guys on Sunday.
Bye, Paul.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.